Kings 2 Part 9. Now the prophet Elisha called one of the sons of the prophets, and he said to him, Gird your waist, and take this little bottle of oil in your hand, and go to Ramoth Gilead. And when you arrive in that place, you will see Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi. And upon entering, you shall raise him up from the midst of his brothers, and you shall lead him into an inner room. And taking the little bottle of oil, you shall pour it upon his head, and you shall say, Thus says the Lord, I have anointed you as king over Israel, and you shall open the door and flee. And you shall not remain in that place. Therefore, the young man, a servant of the prophet, went away to Ramoth Gilead. And he entered that place, and behold, the leaders of the army were sitting there, and he said, I have a word for you, O prince. And Jehu said, For which one among us all? And he said, For you, O prince. And he rose up and entered into the room. And he poured the oil on his head, and he said, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I have anointed you as king over Israel, the people of the Lord. And you shall strike down the house of Ahab, your lord. And I will avenge the blood of my servants, the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of the Lord, from the hand of Jezebel. And I will destroy the entire house of Ahab. And I will cause to pass away from Ahab, whatever urinates against a wall, and whatever is lame, and whatever is least in Israel. And I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha, the son of Ahijah. Also, the dogs will consume Jezebel, in the field of Jezreel. Neither will there be anyone who may bury her. And then he opened the door, and he fled. Then Jehu went out to the servants of his lord. And they said to him, Is everything well? Why has this insane man come to you? And he said to them, You know the man, and what he said. But they responded, That is false, instead, you should tell us. And he said to them, He said to me these certain things, and he said, Thus says the Lord, I have anointed you as king over Israel. And so they hurried away. And each one, taking his cloak, placed it under his feet, in the manner of a seat for judgment. And they sounded the trumpet, and they said, Jehu reigns. Then Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram. Now Joram had besieged Ramoth Gilead, he and all of Israel, against Hazael, the king of Syria. And he had returned, so that he might be cured at Jezreel, because of his wounds. For the Syrians had struck him, while he was fighting against Hazael, the king of Syria. And Jehu said, If it pleases you, let no one depart, fleeing from the city, otherwise he may go and give a report in Jezreel. And he climbed up and set out for Jezreel, because Joram was sick there, and Ahaziah, the king of Judah, had gone down to visit Joram. And so the watchman, who was standing upon the tower of Jezreel, saw the crowd of Jehu arriving, and he said, I see a crowd. And Joram said, Take a chariot, and send to meet them. And those who go should say, Is everything well? Therefore, he who had climbed into the chariot went away to meet him, and he said, The king says this, Is everything peaceful? And Jehu said, What peace is there for you? Pass by and follow me. Also the watchman gave a report, saying, The messenger went to them, but he did not return. And then he sent a second chariot of horses. And he went to them, and he said, The king says this, Is there peace? And Jehu said, What peace is there for you? Pass by and follow me. Then the watchman gave a report, saying, He went all the way to them, but he did not return. But their advance is like the advance of Jehu, the son of Nimshi. For he advances precipitously. And Joram said, Yoke the chariot. And they yoked his chariot. And Joram, the king of Israel, and Ahaziah, the king of Judah, departed, each in his chariot. And they went out to meet Jehu. And they met him in the field of Naboth, the Jezreelite. And when Joram had seen Jehu, he said, Is there peace, Jehu? And he responded, What is peace? For still the fornications of your mother, Jezebel, and her many poisons, are thriving." Then Joram turned his hand, and, fleeing, he said to Ahaziah, "Treachery, Ahaziah." But Jehu bent his bow with his hand, and he struck Joram between the shoulders. And the arrow went through his heart, and immediately he fell in his chariot. And Jehu said to Bidkar, his commander, "Take and cast him into the field of Naboth, the Jezreelite. For I remember, when you and I, sitting in a chariot, were following Ahab, this man's father, that the Lord lifted this burden upon him, saying, 'Certainly, I will repay you in this field, says the Lord, for the blood of Naboth, and for the blood of his sons, which I saw yesterday, says the Lord. Therefore, take him now, and cast him into the field, in accord with the word of the Lord.'" But Ahaziah, the king of Judah, seeing this, fled along the way of the garden house. And Jehu pursued him, and he said, "Strike this one also in his chariot." And they struck him on the ascent to Gur, which is beside Ibleam. But he fled into Megiddo, and he died there. And the servants placed him upon his chariot, and they took him to Jerusalem. And they buried him in the sepulchre with his fathers, in the city of David. In the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, Ahaziah reigned over Judah. And Jehu went into Jezreel. But Jezebel, hearing of his arrival, painted her eyes with cosmetics, and adorned her head. And she watched through a window, as Jehu was entering through the gate. And she said, "Is it possible for there to be peace for Zimri, who killed his lord?" And Jehu lifted up his face to the window, and he said, "Who is this woman?" And 2 or 3 eunuchs bowed down before him. And he said to them, "Throw her down with force." And they threw her forcefully, and the wall was splattered with her blood, and the hoofs of the horses trampled her. And when he had entered, so that he might eat and drink, he said, "Go, and see to that cursed woman, and bury her. For she is the daughter of a king." But when they had gone, so that they might bury her, they found nothing but the skull, and the feet, and the ends of her hands. And returning, they reported to him. And Jehu said, "It is the word of the Lord, which he spoke through his servant, Elijah the Tishbite, saying, In the field of Jezreel, the dogs will consume the flesh of Jezebel. And the flesh of Jezebel will be like dung upon the face of the earth, in the field of Jezreel, so that those who pass by may say, 'Is this that same Jezebel?'" Thank you for watching. If you like the content on this channel, please press subscribe, the like button or comment below. We'd love to get your tips. See you next time.